Hello, product people. Welcome to the Product for Product podcast, hosted by Matt Green, data advocate and product manager, and Moshe product leader and author. Our goal is to serve the product community by helping you find products that can help make your work in product management easier. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Product for Product podcast.
Welcome back. In today's episode, Moshe and I are taking a look back at 2023 and maybe taking a look into the road ahead. So let's dive in. How you doing, Moshe?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
Doing wonderful. The holiday season. Before the episode, we were talking about the spirit of Hanukkah and Christmas and all that stuff. So
absolutely,
an exciting time.
We are recording this during Hanukkah, and we'll release it just before Christmas.
Yes. Yep.
So it's the holiday spirit. I'm looking at our menorahs here. It's daylight, so right now there is no candles in them. We light them at night.
Right.
But the house is decorated. My kids put all of our Hanukkah decorations around the house. And my wife, when I got home after they did it, my wife was like, someone threw up here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said, look. She said it was a holiday throw up.
All of a sudden, like, walked in and saw it right away.
Yeah, because it's all over the place. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Every year, now they're grown-ups, my kids, but every year when they were kids, we always bought, one new item. So you accumulate those.
Yeah. So when she walked in, it was all at once. All those years came back to her at one time.
Yeah. Exactly. But these are interesting products as well, right?
Right. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. I've got them outside. I've got the lights outside and all that stuff. So
yeah,
I handle the outside. The family handles the inside. So
cool.
Yep.
Cool. So, wrap up is a thing these days on Spotify. But I saw the one, for my personal listening. So that became a thing. People are looking forward to this part of the product of Spotify, right?
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah. Lots of interesting things come from a year in review. So I got to wrap up. I got to wrap up for the playlist, and I was pretty surprised by some of the stuff I've been listening to. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Actually, one of the things they put over there that really kind of like made me happy, which is really nice when you get in a happy feeling from a product that you're using. That's what we're all about, right? Making our customers happy.
Yep.
I really love Italian music. So I listen to a lot of Italian music. Mm-hmm. So they showed me the place in the world where people like me listening to this.
Yep.
And the place that it picked up is like my favorite city in Italy. It's Lucca. It's the name of the city is Lucca.
Interesting.
And our dog is named after this city in Lucca because we got it right after we visited over there. So, So my daughters, I showed it to them and they said, "Oh, you have to frame that. It's so cool."
That is very cool. Yeah, I had quite a bit of classical music and stuff like that because I listened to it at work. And I think Vancouver, British Columbia came up as like commonality. Yeah, so little Canada there. Yeah, so making connections. So I was quite surprised by it. So So
absolutely,
it's really cool to see the accumulation of what you've been doing over the past year. So
and funny enough, this morning I opened up. We are using at home this app called Life 360. Where you can see where everyone is because when we need to rides and we have to pick up our kids or stuff like that. So I picked it up this morning only because one of my daughters, she celebrated their birthday last night, so she was out with friends and I never heard her coming in, so I just wanted to check that she's home.
Okay. Yep.
And I didn't want to wake her up, so I opened it to see, like, is she home? And the first thing that came up was a wrap up for.
Oh, really? Where have you been?
And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. As a product person, always these gears start kicking up. And I'm like, oh, what are they going to show me exactly? So one of the features that they have is how safe you're driving. So they showed me like my percentage of safe driving compared to other people that are using their app. So, so I'm like in the top 10%, I think. So it's
Okay, good.
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
And
good.
then, yeah, and then how many miles I traveled in the year and how many trips I did. And they gave me a name. My name was like the not the taxi driver, but something like that, because I'm always picking up my kids from the
Yeah,
bus
different
station.
places. Yeah, that's funny. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see the different travels that we
Mhm.
take. We probably don't always acknowledge the efforts we do. I know that I'm doing that too. Like I'm picking up my daughter at different
Yes.
events that she's involved in. So
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
making these trips over and over and over, and they accumulate. So I'd be curious to see
But
that.
the interesting thing will be also for me to see about my daughters. Are they safe drivers?
Exactly. That's right. Once my daughter's at that age, I'm gonna have to ask you about that. I'll have to
Exactly,
look into it.
exactly. No, so everybody, it's the wrap up, time of year. So we're doing that here on
That's
the
right.
Product for Product podcast.
We got our own wrap for the year.
Exactly. So let's start, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
So first of all, I was looking at our list, and we did, including this episode, we did 30 episodes this year. It's pretty
Yep.
good. Pretty
I
good.
agree. I think that was great. Yeah, and we had a very diverse range of episodes as well. So
Yeah,
covered different
absolutely.
areas, covered books.
Mm,
Yeah, I think we did a lot. So I was really excited about the list, and I was going back through it, and I was like, wow, I remember this conversation, and I couldn't believe it's been a year since we talked to some people, and we met some great people this year that I hadn't spoken to before, and really enjoyed a lot of those conversations.
absolutely, absolutely. So it was really, like you said, diverse, and we got lots of people. We had three themes through the year. The first one was async communication tools,
Mm-hmm.
which we covered Microsoft Teams, Loom, and Slack.
Mm-hmm.
Someone told me recently about one called Circle. I don't know
Hmm.
if that is considered like because they mentioned that they moved for some reasons they moved from Slack to Circle. So that might be an interesting one to look at in the
Okay, I
future.
hadn't heard of that.
But I think and Loom during the year also was acquired, right?
That's right. Yep.
Who bought them? Remind
Atlassian.
me. Atlassian, yes. So now
Atlassian.
it's
Yep.
another Atlassian product.
Yeah, I
And
like using it with Jira. So now it's just like, okay, now once that's official, then I'm curious to see how that's going to be implemented. So,
did they change anything with their pricing or licensing,
uh,
or
I,
it's the same?
I haven't seen anything yet. So
Mm,
I don't know if it's totally official yet. It might be like the Adobe Figma thing that keeps going on and on and on.
hmm Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to actually happen or not. Yeah, I don't know if they've actually changed anything yet. Yeah, I was excited to see that because I do
hmm
like Loom quite a bit.
Yes. So that was the first themed series that we did
Hmm.
early in the year. We did also user testing. That was I think one of the bigger themed
That's
series
right.
that we did, right?
Yep.
And we covered quite a few tools there. We had Maze and User Zoom, and we had Usability Hub and User Testing,
Dovetail.
Dovetail,
Look
Look
back.
Back. We had user interviews. And then with Tracy, we also covered the tester perspectives of actually being a tester.
That's right.
Uh,
And
so,
we actually had our first back to back guest. So Kevin Hawkins did his back to back.
yes,
He knew so
yes,
much about the space that we had him on 2 episodes. So
yes, covering four
covering four
of
different
those
tools. Yeah.
tools.
Yeah.
hmm
So that was a
And
first.
and really interesting enough, all except from Tracy, all the guests that we had on this series, I met in person before at
Yes.
UXDX conference.
Yep.
So conferencing started being a thing this year, or sorry, live conferencing or in-person
Hmm.
conferencing, right?
Yeah.
So that was great,
Yep.
to be able to meet real people where they are, users of these products, meet them where they are. So I was excited about that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you had met Alex, I think Alex Wilson for Design Systems, and
Right, right.
possibly even
Additional ones for some
yeah.
of the other episodes. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Even George for Find Our View, and
That's
this
right.
is already talking now about the startup series that we just finished, where we talked with Startup View, ProdHub, Next, and Bagel. So George, I kind of met through his head of sales.
Mm-hmm.
It was head of sales or head of marketing. I can't remember his position, but he was there. I didn't meet him in person there, but I met him
Mm-hmm.
on their Slack channel.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, he was there doing testing for their product.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or interviewing people, which is very cool. You know, where the people that will use your products are, coming to these conferences. So you go to the
Yeah.
conference and you meet them all in one place.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to do that.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we had the one-off episodes where we were talking about books, like you mentioned before. So we had Henry Latham talking about product strategy is simple.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, let's see.
We had Ben for Lean Analytics.
Dan Olson for, Ben
Yep.
Yoskovich for
Yep.
Lean Analytics. And then we have Dan Olson for Lean Product Playbook. And the last episode, Itamar Gilad for Evidence Guided. So we covered these books this year. So what excited you the most? Or everything, because we can't offend anyone, right?
I know, right? Exactly. I really liked, talking to Ben about analytics was great. That was a book that I was really familiar with. So having an opportunity to speak with him, have him on the show was a big highlight. I know Dan Ellison obviously is a leader in the product management space, so having him on as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, all the guests are appreciated. So there's bits and pieces of all these that I truly enjoyed. Having Dan Balkowski on for the SaaS pricing, I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was a really interesting and probably not a typical episode that we would have done. So,
Right.
so having Dan on to talk about pricing SaaS tools, I
Right.
thought that was a lot of fun. We had a really
Mm-hmm.
energized conversation on that one. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think I learned what I love about this podcast. Yeah, about this podcast is the learning part
mm-hmm,
and how much I learn through when we talk with our guests.
that's right.
So either new products that I never knew before, or new ideas for product, or of course, the authors, they have so much to teach
That's right.
from their books, etc. But you're right. I mean, Dan telling us about pricing for SaaS.
Mm-hmm.
That was an area that I touched a bit in my career, but very, very little. So
Yeah,
it was very educational for me, for sure.
absolutely. Yeah, it was definitely new territory for me.
And with user testing, again, I touched on it. I did a
Mm-hmm.
bit. I saw other people using it and how they did it. But learning all the different components and what's still missing there,
Right.
that was very interesting. And it's a huge market there, not just the
Yes.
users, but there's so many tools right now.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of opportunity for growth there, and it's still
Mm-hmm.
growing. I think there were some companies that were even consolidating. I think one company bought another company. It sounded like some of the conversations we had that some of the tools lack some features that some other ones had. So it's not an area that I have worked in. So like learning about it and hearing about it, it definitely takes like a level of expertise and stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was cool.
yeah. I also love the discussions like, with Gustavo about
Hmm.
the culture,
Right,
company culture. I always look for, how can I talk or adjust the culture in the organization towards product, because I think it's so important.
right.
So just to hear how he's doing it in general
Yeah,
on a company level or team level, and then try to think about, okay, so how is that? How can this be applied to product people and to
exactly.
product teams and to product-led organizations? So that
Right.
was a really interesting discussion there. I'm just looking at the list of our episodes, and
Yeah.
there's so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the culture was good too because it's like a lot of people talk, oh, we have a great culture. We do XYZ for culture, but like you talk the talk or do you walk the walk? Like, do you actually
Mhm.
have a real healthy culture? And
Yeah.
you have a holistic culture of your company. Then, each team has its own culture. Like, how do you work with the other people you work closely with? There's different facets to culture, but I think it's like trendy to say like we have a great culture, but like to actually practice it and really have a true one, I think that's like extra special.
Yes. It's similar to me, it's also similar to, when you meet someone, so you have a first impression of them, and you think, oh, this is they're great people, and they've done all of this stuff and whatever. Then you get to know them, and when you get to know them, you like over time, either your impression get even better,
Right.
or it's kind of like dwindle down because you know them better.
Right. That's right.
And then with the organization, it happened to me in the past. I joined an organization because I really loved what I saw from the outside. When I was interviewed, when I talked with people, the external persona that they put out there. And then when you start working in there and stuff like that, then you were like, okay, this is better than what I thought, or this is way worse than what I
Yeah.
So and that's culture to me is like the personality of the organization.
That's right. It's a great analogy because you think about like a person or a company, like when you come in, whether you meet somebody, you meet a company, you're always coming in on that boundary. You're seeing what they want to show you.
Exactly.
And then as you continue to move forward towards the core of the company or the core of the person, that's where you start to see like you open up different layers of the onion. And
Yes.
and that's sometimes great, sometimes not.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. And I'm sure it happens to everyone like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why, and also moving from different companies in the past, I had my share of disappointments, and I'm like, how can I assess this upfront before I join an organization, before I start working with them, to really know their culture, to really understand their culture. And then once I was inside, if I really love the organization, I would like, oh yeah, this is a great culture. I would always want to adopt, or I would want to continue. And if there were areas that I didn't like, I was like, how can I make it better? How can I improve it? How can I? So, from within, right? So that was a really interesting discussion there as well.
This sounds like a future episode or something, like product management interviewing or something like that. How do you know? How can you ask questions to know what you need to know before you get on board?
Yeah,
Something like that.
that's a good idea. That's a very good idea. I think that there is a lot of product managers out there that are helping other product managers in their interviews process, get into how you present yourself, what to ask, how to understand the organization and their product, if it's a good fit for you.
And a lot of new PMs, they just might take whatever opportunity comes their way. But like, is it a really good product culture like that you're getting into?
Yeah, I mean, in the first position, it's very hard to get it, so maybe it's not a good idea just to take one. But
That's right.
Then you don't have to get stuck in a place that you don't like,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm looking here at our lists of episodes. Another topical one was with Shiva about Google Optimized Sunset.
That's right.
That was a very topical because they sunsetted this year.
At that time, yeah, right. For
So
GA4, yep.
and Shiva was a great. He's a great guy, and he have this. He started this. I think it was this year. He started also a podcast from A to B with Tracy.
With Tracy.
Yeah. Another one of our favorite guests. So his point of view was right on spot, and I kind of like continue following them and see what's going on in that area.
We had a product ops call with Grisha and Annabella early on this year, back in February. Product ops is something like you and I have talked about. I think we've talked about that from probably the beginning of the show. Maybe it's a growing space; it continues to mature. But having both of them on, I think that might have been, outside of like an episode where we had multiple. I think it might have been our 50th episode where we had a bunch of previous guests on.
Right.
That was an episode where we had two guests at one time.
Yes.
So that was
panel talking about product ops. Absolutely. Yeah, and product ops is still developing area in product management.
Yep.
I think it's starting to get matured as we go. But There was even a book written by this few months ago. I forget her name now. I should be ashamed here because she's one of the we should look for it and invite her for the podcast to talk about the book.
For sure.
Melissa, is it Melissa?
Perry?
Yeah, well, yeah, it might be Melissa Perry. Did she write that book, Product Ops? It's a new book that was
Yeah,
just released.
I believe she did have a newly released book. I do believe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she had written one
Yes,
previously.
Melissa Perry. Yes.
Yeah, yep.
So that will be an interesting one actually to invite to the podcast and talk about that.
Yeah, because I'd like to keep that conversation going for sure.
Absolutely. Some other worthy mentions. You mentioned Alex before with design systems. And design system, I'm seeing it these days like becoming a big thing, and
That's right.
many more people are talking about them. So I'm happy we had the opportunity to have him as well.
I am too. It was cool to talk to Alex about it and have some context behind it. And
Yeah,
I also
absolutely.
liked having Magali on for AI products for PMs.
Yes, yes. I actually wanted to ask you, what do you think was the hot topic this year?
Yeah, I know, right? That was it. Yeah, that's like numero uno. That may be, AI's impact on, not just product management, but like businesses in general. Like you see, like I'm using Notion. I use different applications now where AI is like now part of it. And
hmm
it's happened very quickly
hmm
relative to a lot of other technology. And I'm using it, in day-to-day work. So I see a lot of assistance capabilities with it. So it's definitely probably the number one topic for me this year. And there's early stage adopters. I think early stage businesses have adopted it. Early stage people that are really interested in have adopted it. But I think coming this next year, there's going to be questions around security, compliance, and stuff. And so if some of those concerns can be ironed out, I think more people are going to adopt it. More companies will adopt it. It'll probably
Well,
become more ambiguous in your daily life eventually.
absolutely. And the EU just passed an act. I just read it, and I mean, I read the highlights of it.
Yes. Yep.
And I was like vocally excited about it when
Yeah. Yeah. They're
so my
leading.
wife asked me, "What's going on? What is that?" So I said, "Okay, let me read it to you." And I started reading it, and like some of the points, and I asked her, "Do you understand what it says?" She said, "No," and I'm like, "Me neither."
Ask ChatGPT to put it in elementary grade level
To
or
dumb it
something
down,
like.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. No, it's I think it's very interesting, and there is going to be a lot of things moving on that will come and see what happens, what people are going to do with
Yep.
that. I mean, I think all or most of our startup guests
Had
were
a, yeah.
some type of AI product, and I have my views. You have your views. We are
Yeah.
both have different views about it and stuff like that. I'm a bit less, not less excited about it. I don't think I'm less excited. Maybe I'm less showing my excitement, but maybe I'm not an early adopter like many other people. And maybe I'm also a bit more skeptical,
Hmm.
not of the technology, but of the applications of the technology
Right.
on one hand, and also about the huge hype that is created with it.
Hmm.
And I feel that the hype is kind of clouding what is real and what is not,
That's right.
what requires AI and what does not require AI. Because now, like, not every problem requires an AI solution, right?
That's right. That's right.
And then also, how can I trust it? That's one of the main things that I'm looking for. I
That's right.
really want to trust AI to, I want to trust it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
It's like the old GPS. Remember like old GPS where you had what was the what was the thing you put inside your car? I forget what it was called.
Uh,
Uh Before
yeah,
Google Maps.
it was a GPS.
It was a GPS, but it had a name. We'll I can't think of. That's how irrelevant it is now.
I know.
But it was a little tom like a TomTom or something like that, or like
Tonto was one of the companies making it. I think they
yeah,
still exist. No,
they probably
yeah,
still exist. Yeah,
yeah.
but you had that, and you heard all those situations where people followed it like blindly, and they drove into like the Mojave Desert, or they drove into like
Mhm.
Death Valley here in the U.S. where it's 100 something degrees.
There is a word. There is a word. I don't know if it's Hebrew or Arabic, but there is a word we use in Israel. It's jifa, and jifa is like the all the dirt that you find at the bottom of the garbage.
Okay.
And every time that our GPS was making, weird suggestions, and I would follow it, and I would get, I don't know where exactly.
That's it. Yeah.
We call it GIFA, GPS,
Jifa.
GIFA. It's kind of
That's
like,
right.
so we started just call it that.
Yes, that's it. So AI can be sometimes in that space, or if you just ask it something and you blindly make decisions on that. So you do need to still question it at this point, and you need to question what it's doing with your data, its security, compliance, and stuff like that. But at some point in the future, I think it will be as ambiguous as going to Google Map now
You're
and it
right.
telling it,
It's a good
yeah.
example. I like that example because, at the time they sold many of those units
Oh yeah,
and people used it. I had a couple of them, try to see if one is better than the other or whatever.
right.
I remember the rental cars would rent it to you if you wanted,
Yep,
when you got the car and stuff
yep.
like that, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Then cars got them built into your car. So
That's
that
right.
was like a fancy feature of the car.
Yep.
And we're talking not long ago,
Not that long ago, really. In
probably
the big
10, 15 years ago, right?
big scheme of things, right? And now it's now Google Maps knows how long it's going to take somewhere. It
Yeah.
optimizes your routes.
Yeah.
I don't ever particularly question it anymore.
And we have smartphones, so everything is on the smartphone, and you don't need a special um
A
hardware
device,
just for
yeah,
that.
hardware. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Mhm.
So all the software is part of your phone now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's
so
it's a good analogy. So we'll see what will happen. I mean,
yeah,
also with I like that analogy even better than the internet analogy because I was thinking about the versions of internet and stuff like that.
yep,
But only because of the trust issue that we had.
right. Yeah, that's right. Still see it as an assistance.
Yes.
As a PM, it will assist me in my work, but I don't see it necessarily replacing me in my role because I still think the long tail of it is like it needs to be like logical and really needs to have like human level cognitive reasoning.
Yeah.
The human in the loop still needs to be there for the long run, I think. At least I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for that. I don't want to be replaced,
Yeah.
in my lifetime. But like, I always try to think of that analogy with GPS and stuff when it comes to this. Internet kind of hit us, but it was kind of a long thing. Like you slowly adapted,
Hmm. Hmm.
where GPS was in this maybe 10-year window.
Right. Right. No, that's very cool. And I think that also was a conclusion from the episode with Magali. And she said that it's not going to replace us, but the product people that will use AI will be able to do better jobs.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
And I've started using like ChatGPT has voice, so you can actually talk to it now on your phone. And I found like having a conversation with it, like I can speak in a conversational way, and it really understands me and prompts me to ask more questions, and it's learning as I go. And
Hmm.
it's kind of creepy in the sense that there's a movie called Her, I don't with Joaquin Phoenix, where
Yes.
like he talks to his
Yes.
AI
Yes.
and
Yes.
it
Yes.
learns and like so it's a little bit of that, but
Yeah, I
I
remember
tell
that.
my daughter, I'm like, she's like, what's this about this? And I'm like, oh, let's go ask ChatGPT. She's like, oh, Dad. She's like, Dad, you got to get off the AI thing. I'm like, kid, it's gonna be part of your life one day. So,
That's funny. That's
but
funny that
yeah.
your
So they,
daughter told you that.
I know, right? Exactly. Yeah. Well, she's talking to Siri still. Siri hasn't caught up yet.
Yeah.
So Siri's
Also,
still
Alexa, I found Alexa actually dumber every day that we use her. Dumber and dumber.
exactly. She's like, here's some links from Google. I'm like, that's not what I want. I want you to tell me, like, give me some summarizes stuff for
Yeah,
me.
I know. I know. I know. Awesome. There was another episode that I really enjoyed with Ravi Mehta about
Yes.
the product competency toolkit.
Yes.
I followed his work for a while, so it was really awesome to have him on the show. And I also use it with my coaches
Hmm.
when I coach product people. I kind of start with that. I tell them, go get Ravi's toolkit and do a self-assessment, and then let's see where the gaps are. Where do you feel that you need to improve on?
Right.
So thank you, Ravi, for making this available for everyone to use. I really like that. Yeah. And yes, I'm also looking here at the list. I'm looking for the episode with Ross.
Oh yeah, Ross with the product team success scorecard. We did that in September.
Yes,
September.
we did it in
Yeah,
September, right?
yeah, episode 88.
Oh, my
Did you meet
mouse.
him as well? Or he knows Henry, right? So he knows Henry.
Yeah,
That
he
helped.
did some work with Henry,
That's
exactly.
right. Yeah,
And I'm actually talking with him a lot these days. He's Jewish too, and
yeah,
he's married to an Israeli. And with all this stuff going on right now in the world, we kind
yeah.
of started talking about that a bit. And he's a very he's an amazing guy. He has his own podcast as well,
Yep.
a couple of podcasts, and every time I have like a down day,
Yeah.
he's there and he's like, let's have a chat. And my job is to bring you up and to encourage you and stuff like that. So I love that about him. He's a cool
Well,
guy. Yeah.
that's a great outcome of the podcast.
Yeah. Creating this bit of community or friendships. So
Right.
and there's quite a bit of people that I can say, well, first of all, we're doing
Yeah.
this already for 3 years now.
Right. Yep.
This is our third year, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Coming March will be the third anniversary.
Yep.
And I kind of like got friends from this. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I love this. I
I
love this.
certainly feel like I could reach out to anybody that we've spoken to,
Hmm.
and like I could reach out and ask them questions and stuff like that. Where otherwise I never would have known them in the world. So this has opened up doors where, whether it be Dan Olson, Mike Green, my kin
Yes.
from
Yes.
From Britain, like
Yes.
people that I would never have spoken to probably, and without the podcast, I feel like I have a window now to reach out to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we also got people from all over the world, right?
Yes.
So this year we're doing a wrap up. So we'll see where did we get people from, or where the most of our guests. We should have done we should make this list before so it will be ready because I'm just
That's
looking at the
right.
list now and see,
I
okay,
know.
where are they from?
Yes.
But we definitely had a few people from Europe. Henry, he just moved to Lisbon, actually. He
Oh,
was in
okay.
in London,
I,
and I introduced him to someone that I work with that moved to London. And he's like, "Oh, I'm in Lisbon now," and that's one of those cool thing about people in Europe. They like to move around, to
right. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
I know he had a baby, and I saw a post on LinkedIn that he was going to move. So,
okay. So I didn't see
yeah.
those posts.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had him from Europe and also Grisha and Annabella, one from London, one from Lisbon,
Yes.
or one from UK, one from I'm not sure Grisha is. She was in London, right?
Yes, she is.
And
Yep.
Magali, she is also in Europe, I believe.
I believe as well. Right.
Yeah, yeah. And we had who else was from Europe? I'm now looking
Well,
at the list.
I'm gonna go Igor from Russia.
From Russia, yes. And
Yes.
Kevin actually lives in Spain, so he was at Spain at the time. Mike Green is from
Yep.
UK as well, and
And
Ross is from London, and Moody, he is from the Netherlands or France. France.
he was in France at the time. Yeah.
Yes, he was in
Yeah,
France.
Canada. He was in Canada for a time, and then
Yes,
uh,
and Itamar Gilad is he lives also in Spain. So lots of people in
yeah,
Spain and
yeah,
Lisbon.
yeah.
I
That's
guess
right.
that's the Florida. That's the Florida of the Europe.
Yeah, I guess so. And then we did have Primika from Singapore. I think she was in.
From
So
Singapore,
yeah,
yes, and Madar from Australia,
right.
right? He was talking with us about Loom. And who else was there? Where was Alex from? Oh, Alex is from Canada,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
He's up there by you. Yep.
Yeah, Alex talked with us about Slack. And Justin from the US, I believe, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, we had a
That's
few
right.
people from the US as well.
And then
US and Canada.
yeah, we have U.S. and Canada. Even Tracy being in Canada. And Tracy was a multiple time guest now. So having
Yes.
her back on the show,
Hmm.
we've had several of multiple guests on.
Absolutely. Ben Yoskovic is also from Canada. He's a fellow Torontonian. I like fellow
Oh,
Torontonian
okay.
only because I can also meet him in person if I want to.
That's
So
right.
that's nice.
I'm trying to think of what have we not gone to a continent yet? Last year we had South Africa. So
yeah, I don't know if we had anyone from Africa this year, but we definitely have from Europe and Australia and Asia.
we've,
Ohad was from Israel, so that's
yeah,
Asia.
we've had
Asia as
India
well.
on.
Who's from India?
That was last year.
Oh,
Last year
last
we
year.
had last year. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think if we've hit how many places we'd hit. That'd be interesting to put that on a map or something
To
like
put it
that.
on the map, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
If it will be interesting for anyone.
yeah. It might just me and you, but cool to visualize that.
Yeah. And of course, other Americans that we had were Alex, which we mentioned Alex Wilson, and Dan Bolkowski,
Yep,
and Sumit Rana,
yep.
George
George.
Whitfield.
Yeah, I think that
Gustavo also lives in the US.
that's right. That's
He's
right.
from Chicago.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. So very international podcast.
That's one of the advantages of this is we can go international and talk to a bunch of different people with different backgrounds, different experiences. Another advantage of the podcast is just being able to bring in different voices.
Let's talk a bit, a bit more personally on our product journey this year, right?
Yeah,
I had a very interesting year this year, moving to consulting in product management.
right.
So I really enjoy that. I work in with a lot of different organizations. So what my mantra this year is, instead of helping one company build one product, I love helping now many companies build many products. So
Right.
so
That's
that's
cool.
yeah, that's where I'm my headspace is. But it's also a bit hard because you have to, find the clients. You have to find, who to work with, who to help.
That's right.
Um, but it's still very rewarding to see. So some of them are, very small clients. Like I
Yep.
have a few coaches and clients that I worked with for, a few meetings. Some of them are really big ones.
Yep.
I'm actually the biggest one I started another podcast with.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, so with Ruth Quotient, I
Yep.
love working with these guys. They're an agency and they're building lots of cool products. And we started the Beyond Product podcast. So that was also something new for me this
That's a
year.
big highlight.
Yeah, exactly.
You started
So
working at a university, right? As well.
yes, and I started teaching. Yes, I
Yeah.
started teaching at York University here in Toronto
Yeah.
in the business school, teaching information system. My goal is to teach product management. I really think that product management should be taught in university level
Yeah.
as a course or as a whole programs. There are a few of them,
Yeah.
and I started researching, where you can actually get, a degree in product management.
Yep.
And I'm not talking just a certificate, but I'm talking like a degree, like a bachelor or master's degree. And there is only like 3 or 4 universities that do that.
I think we were talking to Robbie about some of that. Like some places offer certificates, certification kind of stuff, but to actually have a defined coursework and course load
Mhm.
around it, that'd be really interesting to develop. I know there'd be a lot of
Absolutely.
demand for it, but yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my goal. So if anyone out there is listening to this and they either want to learn more about this or they are deans of some schools of universities out there, so reach out to me.
that's right.
It could be an engineering school, it could be a management school, it could be
Yep.
both, it could be a combined. The program, they just opened a Master of Digital Product Management at Queen's University.
Hmm.
It's in Kingston, Ontario. So it's
Okay.
about 3 hours drive from Toronto, something like
Okay.
that, east towards Ottawa, or towards, yeah, Ottawa, Montreal.
Yep.
And it is a combined program between their engineering, like software development engineering school,
Ah, okay.
and their management school. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So there is a fit for it. There is
Yeah.
definitely a fit for it.
Oh, I
And I'm
definitely believe
sure
that.
that there is a demand for this because I know a
Yes.
lot of people that are looking to learn that, including my students.
Right.
And I think this is more forward looking from universities
Right.
because it's a really big thing these days to be a product manager, to get to
Yeah.
product management.
And having to be in a more traditional setting, like a university or something like that, it has in my mind, it has certain advantages over, maybe an online course or online program that you see out there, that where, you take some online stuff and you get a certificate at the end of it and you kind of move on. Where I think as you strive to become a product manager, like you really have to be immersed in it. I think you really have to be taught like a lot of the foundational stuff. And that, I think a lot of university could leverage what they know about their students and the way to develop courses and the way to implement courses and teach people. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So I'm excited to see that.
There is a huge entrepreneurship programs everywhere. Like at York University, Schulich is the school where I teach. There is a lot of stuff going on with entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship or product management can fit very, very well with that. And they do a lot of hands-on work with many entrepreneurs starting in those programs. And then I see almost on a daily basis, like posts on LinkedIn about alumni and their companies that were created while they were in these programs. So the hands-on is also there, because that's the main challenge, the hands-on. How do you learn hands-on? But because entrepreneurship is already done in the university setting and it's done hands-on, then it's just stretching it a bit farther with product management. That's all.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
No, it's cool. What about you? How was your year in product management?
I've had a great year in product management. So I've been with Form Assembly for over a year now, and it's been phenomenal. So like we worked on analytics, we worked on all the things that I'm interested in as a data collection platform. It's right up my alley. All the things that I care about, and just talking about like thinking about the culture and stuff like that. The culture's been phenomenal. I'm extremely happy with it, and it's really been a strong year for me. And I'm excited about the year to come.
Yeah,
for sure.
Amazing. And I remember when we started the podcast 3 years ago, you were like, I need to learn all of these tools for product management, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so
that's right.
So how do you feel about it now after almost 3 years?
Oh, that's the thing about it. Like the genesis of it was all those different tools. Like which ones do you want to learn? And going through this process, like, has really helped open. Not only like I knew, I had worked in Jira, I had worked in some of these things already, but like opening up new dimensions, like new areas, like user research, seeing the tools that are in this space, really like been eye opening. And there's other cases of that and other things we've done. When someone brings up a new tool or mentions a new tool, I'm always like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. Or I'm at least or I've used that. Or I know somebody who knows about that. Whereas before it was all very ambiguous and very like, hey Moshe, like what are these tools out here? So and that's where it all started. So so it's been really cool.
Amazing. And of course, you personally love AI tools and testing them and checking them out. So I think that was also an exciting year for you.
I've started using a couple of things. One product called Runway. It's where you text a video. And so you can actually put in like a text, like I want to come up with this, and it does it'll actually generate a video for you. So you and I think are both very inquisitive when it comes to new tools. Like you mentioned a new tool and you and I will independently or jointly like look at it. But like doing this podcast, and it just feeds my curiosity when it comes to new tooling. And so I've taken that into AI, like AI, even with these startups we had that have AI that are helping product managers, but even looking at like AI stuff in general. There's a lot of new tools out there, a lot of new ways to implement AI, and just new tools are coming up every day, like creating videos from words. I mean, that's amazing. And so,
and believe me, our audience, just behind the scenes, Matt, like once in a while, will send me, oh, look at this cool tool, and look at this cool tool. But it's no, I think that as product people, it's actually really cool that we're inquisitive about other tools, because what I find about it is, we always like to get inspired by other tools and what other people are doing. But also, the more tools we look at, it's faster for us to understand the concept of those tools. Like it's just kind of like almost we're looking for the same things, or we're looking for, or immediately things that don't work or feel weird are jumping at us and stuff like that. And it's a very good muscle to have as a product manager, I think.
You log into any new system, and the first thing you think about is like, how is this UI? How is this UX? Like, how, what were they thinking when they built this? Whether that be good, whether that be bad.
Yeah.
But like, like you and I again have talked about this. Like, I approach everything in my life as a product almost, as a way to make it better, iterate on it. Like I look at the refrigerator, I open it up, I'm like, why is this shelf here? Why can't it be here? The experience of it. And I take that into any kind of tool that I use, whether that tool is helping me as a PM, whether it's just curiosity, like, hey, this new tool Runway does video. Like, I can't believe it produces a video from my words. And so I look at it and I start to play around with it. Is it perfect? May not always be, but like these things that we experience as product managers, it really helps that muscle. Like you just said, like that muscle gets stronger and stronger as you evaluate tools and as you use tools.
Absolutely.
And then you can take that into like the stuff you're doing in your job.
Yeah,
you can take that kind of stuff back and say, hey, I've used these other tools in these other areas and they had some great ideas. And
now, one thing we are not sharing today is any of the numbers of downloads and stuff like that. Not that we don't, want to share it. It's just that we don't really care. To me, it's a bit of vanity thing.
Never been about that.
Yeah, it's never been about that. It's always been about learning from our side and sharing what we learn with everyone. So we just enjoy doing it.
Yep. From day one, that you and I always approach this as this is a fun opportunity to get to meet new people, learn new products, and help the community. So yeah, I've never been about numbers. We've never been about we don't have an active sponsor right now. We don't have any of that stuff. So
I know.
It's very much like we've always been very organic about it, and we've kept it fun. And I think that's why we're closing on 100 episodes. So
yes. Yeah, some people are like, what? So many already?
I know, right? I know. I couldn't believe it. I scroll through the list of things and it's like, see more, see more, see more. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have so many, even doing 30 this year.
Yeah.
It's really amazing how we've kept it going and we just continue to find great people to speak with. There's always new products. I think we always scratch the surface. We don't.
Exactly. So talking about next year or the future, I was looking at our future list of products and it seems longer than our
That's right.
Our past list of products.
That's right. We're like digging in the sand. It's like never get to the bottom.
But I really enjoyed this year that we added the books reviews or talking with authors. I mean, this is kind of like stretching a bit, like, but what product or tools for product managers? But books are also products, and I think it's very useful to actually have those voices out there. So I actually want to do more of these this year.
Yep.
I really want to have Marty Kagan on the show.
That'd be great. Yep.
I'm going to reach out to you maybe towards the 100th anniversary or 100th episode.
That's right.
But Marty Kagan is like our guru, so we have to eventually have him on the show. And then we are approaching also the 100th episode, and we were talking about making it special for everyone. We were also talking between ourselves, should we write a book about products and how to choose products and stuff like that? So we talked about it back in the summer, and we kind of started thinking about it as a product as well. First of all, talking with other authors of books. Then things kind of in the world became crazy, and I think I dropped the ball on this one a bit. So so we'll see. Maybe that will be our theme for 2024.
Yeah, as a consumer of books, and like you're saying, they are products, and so many books out there that you can read, and just like there's so many products out there that you can use. So even going through that, I know they've helped me a lot, just having different authors on from the ones we've had to ones we could have in the future.
Yeah. We always looking for guests. So if you have a special point of view, if you wrote a book, if you have a framework, if you have any thoughts about product management in general, It could be something we already talked about, but with a new angle to it, or it can be something completely new that will really be exciting for us to learn about. Then please do contact us, and we'll be happy to have you on the show. But we'll also cover some other themed tools. We have a few themes that we never touched in the past, like survey tools. We never talked about that yet. How to create a survey and how to send it to people and get their feedback and collect their feedback. We never talked about tools that are recording sessions. That you can put them in the back and they record the session, how users are actually using the product, and then you can look into that. On the user testing, we talked a bit about repositories. I think Dovetail was more a repository, but there is a whole list of products that are just repositories for research. So we can do that. On async tooling or tools for collaboration, there is a whole list of tools that we can talk about, like for collaboration, whiteboarding, how to work with the team. We have also a list for iPaaS, different integrations between tools and things like that, because a lot of us are using these things.
That's right.
So there is still a lot of themes that we didn't even touch on.
Yep. I'm excited about some of those right there, just iPaaS and having worked in integrations and stuff like that.
And also there is new tools or updates on tools that we covered in the past. So some of the tools we covered almost 3 years ago, maybe we should really relook at them and see, did anything change? Are they still exist? Are they better?
Product analytics would be, that was our product analytics was our first first series.
Exactly. So maybe we should do
changed.
a bit of looking back into that and see, well, what's new. So there is definitely more to come.
Looking forward to it.
Same here.
It's been a pleasure. Almost 3 years now. So
yes, mine too, and mainly to all of our listeners. We're doing it also for you, and we appreciate all the feedback that you send us and all the help that you give us. We are one of the things I've noticed and other people told me in product management is that it's a community of people that really love helping each other.
At the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. So
absolutely.
Thank you to all the listeners. We really do appreciate you. Keep the feedback coming. Keep the support coming. Reach out to us whenever. We'll talk to everybody next year.
And thank you, Matt. I appreciate you. And I love doing this.
You the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you to all the listeners. We really appreciate the feedback and support. Please leave us a review to help others find the show on Apple or Spotify or anywhere else you're listening to the show.